Hey everybody, the 2025 season is getting underway, and so I'm doing my in the bag segment here. I've got most of my bag pretty well figured out at this point. Um, I You can see I've got a bunch of empty space up here. I pulled out all of the utility stuff, and I usually carry a whole bunch of extra discs, mostly for practice, and so that I've got some duplicates. So when I go out for a practice round, I got a bunch of extra discs, and I'll throw a bunch of discs for that. But in terms of what I actually throw in tournaments, this is pretty much it. So I can put it all in my bag. I don't actually need the cart for tournaments in terms of the quantity of discs that I'm bringing. So I'm going to go through this stuff. To start with my putters, I carry two Mirage putters. I love this disc for putting. It is really, really low profile. So it comes out of the hand clean. I don't have any problems with it being too deep, which I've had issues with other putters. It's got a really tiny bead on it. This is super glidey and super understable. So when I putt it at those low speeds of a putter, it holds that line and it stays straight for a long ways before it finally comes out. So I get much better accuracy putting with this disc. Now, if I'm putting into a headwind, or I'm worried about it gliding forever, because this thing has a ton of glide, I do have a Jawbreaker Zone that I will putt with into the wind sometimes. This started out really stable like a regular Zone, but I don't know if you can see how beat up it is. There isn't a flat spot on this surface. It's hit so many trees. It's now really understable for a Zone. And so I will putt with this into the wind, and it will hold a line and then it will dump. It doesn't glide. So this is my, if I'm afraid of a putt, this is what I putt with. I also throw this for approaches, forehand approaches specifically. And so I'll throw this straight, I'll throw it on a hyzer. And this is also typically what I'm going to use if I need to throw an Annie approach and have it pan out a little bit. I go with my Jawbreaker Zone. As far as most other approaches, I love the Bullfrog. So I carry two Bullfrogs. I have several Bullfrogs, but I bagged two of them, and this one is the more stable of the two. This one is understable. If I put this one flat, it's going to turn right. This one, if I put it flat, it's going to stay straight and it's going to come out a little bit at the end. And so that gives me a couple of options for approaches. The reason I love the Bullfrog is it's a 3-speed disc, but it has very little glide. So I've got more margin for error when I'm throwing my approach shots. Love this disc for approaches. While we're talking approaches, this is the other forehand disc that I throw on approaches. It's an A4 700 plastic for Prodigy. I tried throwing zones forehand for, I don't know, the better part of a year, and they were just too stable for me. I tried a bunch of different zones and they were all too stable. And so I finally tried this, and it will hold straight and then it will come out. I could never get a zone to do that for me reliably. So I love this thing for approaches where I need to go straight for a while, but make sure that it's going to come back at the end and even give me a little bit of a skip. Great for that. This is an Anvil. I don't use this very often, but when I need it, it is spectacular. This is the most overstable thing I've ever thrown. It almost immediately out of the hand, it starts turning left, and it will skip. Almost always it will skip. So if I've got a short shot inside of 225 feet, then I need to go very far left. If I got to get around something and then continue left, this is what I'm throwing. And I really especially like to throw it at the ground and make it skip. and it'll come way around to the left. Excellent get out of jail disc. Next up, I'm going to my mid ranges. I carry two Buzz SS. This is a ESP plastic. This is Z plastic. This is more stable. This one, if I put it flat, it's gonna turn right. This one, if I put it flat with some pop on it, it'll stand up, it'll start going right just a little bit, and then it'll settle down. There's not a whole lot of finish in this. Great disc to go straight. Then, for my regular stable-ish mid-range, this is as stable a mid-range as I've got. I carry a regular Buzz. And so it's a little stable, and then it dumps hard at the end. This is not going right on me ever. So this is a good stable disc. And then I just started bagging this, a Hex. Everybody says they're amazing. Everybody loves them, lots of hype. And so just at Christmas, I went down to Bang a Chain and picked one up. And I started throwing it, and I love it. So it ends up about the same place that a Buzz ends up, but it gets there a little bit differently. It's more stable out of the hand, but it doesn't have as much of a hard fade at the end. So it ends up in the same place, but it takes a more smooth path to get there. So two different discs that, depending on the shape of the shot I need, I'll go to one or the other. Now for my fairway drivers, I bag two Leopard 3s. This is the classic glow plastic from Innova, and this is their new Proto Glow plastic. This is far more stable than their original glow plastic. This is, or Champion Glow, I guess it is. This is my understable fairway driver. If I need something that's gonna turn right, this is where I'm going. And this one, it's gonna turn, it's gonna stand up and turn just a little bit, but it is gonna dump out at the end. So two different versions of the same disc for my fairway drivers. And then a little bit more stable than that is my TL3. It ends up flying about the same distance. This is one speed higher, but it's a little more stable, so it doesn't glide as far. So they all end up going about the same distance. I like to forehand this. It's really good and torque resistant. This, I'm gonna have to find another replacement for this, because I have tried other TL3s, the newer versions of the TL3, and they're all a little bit more understable than this. And so when I try and forehand them, they want to turn over on me a little bit more. This one, backhand, if I hit it hard, it'll stay flat and straight, and then eventually it'll dump left. Forehand, it'll turn a little bit, and then eventually it'll come out. Good balance of stability on this for me for forehand and backhand. And then I have a Firebird for my stable fairway driver. Again, this goes about the same distance as the others, but I think this is a 9-speed disc, but it's so stable that it doesn't glide very far forward before it starts dumping left. So this goes hard left. Forehand, backhand, I never worry about this turning over on me. It's got a really hard finish. Great place in the bag for me. All right, now up to the 10-speed driver. I have a beast that I use for this 10-speed spot. I've had a few different beasts. I love this for the distance driver. It's pretty straight. It's a -2.2, and brand new. It's a little too stable for me, but beat in a little bit, it'll stand up, it'll ride to the right just a little bit, and then it'll come back. So it ends up being a very straight disc for me. I can work it on a hyzer or a little bit of Annie, and work it any direction I really want. So this is a good balance of distance and some control. Now we get into the true distance drivers. And I have two Enigmas. This is their glow plastic, and this is their regular Neo plastic. This is more understable. This is my most understable distance driver. This one I know it's going to turn right for me. So there are a few holes that I play on a regular basis, like out at Wendell Moore, hole 14. There's OB to the left, and you need something that you know is going to turn right and keep you out of trouble, and this is what I'm throwing there. This one ends up being a pretty straight. It will go right, and then it will finish back to the left again, but it doesn't go right too far. I've tried a lot of different max distance drivers that when they go right, they go way right, and then they finish really hard. This has a much straighter overall path. It goes right a little bit, and then it comes back a little bit. This is the disc that I throw the furthest in my entire bag. So this is my go-to if I need distance. Then I have 3 destroyers. I got a Ricky 2-time that is, it's a touch understable. So when I throw this flat, it's gonna turn right just a little bit, but it's got a good finish on it. I love to forehand this. This is my go-to forehand disc because it's got that integrity. It'll handle the torque, and when I put it out flat, it'll turn a little bit, and then it's gonna finish. And then I have a newer destroyer, Star Plastic. This is a little more stable than that. And so it's got basically the same flight, but it's just a little more stable. And so if I'm going into a little bit of wind, or I want to make sure I don't turn something over, this is what I'm going to go with. And then this is 163 grams. It's nice and lightweight, but it is incredibly stable. This disc is actually more stable than this one, and this is full weight. So it's a weird combination, because normally you'd think lightweight, it's going to flip over on you. I can't hardly flip this thing over, and so but I get more distance out of this one than the other destroyers because it's a lighter weight. I just have to make sure I put it on a little bit of Annie, and then it's going to go right, and it's got a strong fade, consistent fade at the end of it. So this is really nice when I need a little bit of extra distance. All right, then I have a racer. This is pretty new. This just replaced another racer that I had in my bag that was pretty beat in. It started out really stable, and it's pretty beat in. It's not quite as stable anymore. This is a nice, really stable disc. It's, in theory, this is supposed to fly like a destroyer without as much fade. It's got the same numbers, but with just a little bit less fade. It's got a 2 instead of a 3 for fade. In reality, this is more stable, high speed, and it doesn't have as much of a hard dump out. So if I want something stable, if I gotta fight the wind, or I want something to take a steady turn around a corner and not just go straight and dump, this is the disc I'm throwing, because it's got that consistent, smooth left-hand turn. All right, and the last one in the bag is an Octane. This is the most stable driver that I've got. The numbers, you wouldn't think so. It's 13.5 minus 1, 2, but holy cow, this thing is a meat hook. I have thrown this into the stiffest wind that I've ever played in, and it still turned left. It did not turn over. So I keep this just in case I need something absolutely stable that I know, even into a ripping headwind, it's not going to turn over on me. this is what I'm throwing. So that is my bag. I'll see you out on the course.